Hey guys, it's Kaz at Diesel Doctor here. I just wanted to take a quick minute and show you what we've got going on today. We got an old block that's in the machine right now, just using this as a sole purpose as a demonstration video. A lot of guys ask, you talk about blueprint boring. What exactly are you talking about when you say blueprint boring? And I wanted to take a minute with a video to answer the question. So, and what I'm fixing to tell you is a process that we do here. We do it because even if you're building a stage 1 build with us and just the base model engine, what we want to do is make sure that we do the machining as though you're building an engine. It doesn't matter if it's a race application or what, but we're going to give you the best machining process anywhere. And this is one of the steps that we take. So here we've got a diagram, okay? And this is a diagram of that was sent to us by a manufacturer. So this is a blueprint of the head gasket. It gives us the bore layout, gives us all the head bolt layout and everything. It tells us where everything should be, okay? So what we do is we take all these numbers that they give you, and we plug them in to our machine, okay? So let me click off the screen just a second. All right, and these numbers here represent the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these aren't numbered like you would, if you're thinking 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8 on a diesel engine. It's not on this. It's this bank right here that we're dealing with. It's on the number 1 right now, okay? So, but anyways, these numbers that you're seeing right here are these numbers interpreted. It's a metric and this is imperial, okay? So we plug these in and we've probed. Now the difference between what we do and what 99% of the other machine shops do is they use a boring bar, which has worked fine for years, okay? But the point of the video is not to say that they're doing anything necessarily wrong, but you can be more accurate. There is a certain tolerance, okay? It's everything has a tolerance. What I'm saying right now is not saying that they're out of tolerance, but they're not as close to spec as what we would be if we did it the way that we do it. So when we're talking thousandths of an inch, we want to be as close as possible. So what we do in a case like that is we're using what the factory is giving us. So our single datum point is what we're after, okay, which is going to be the dowel hole on the block. What we're trying to do is line up our crankshaft so that our crank is centered directly in the center of the bore itself. Now, when you're using a line boring tool, when you're using a boring bar, basically what happens is as it comes down, and it depends on what make and model, but as it comes down, it's going to have fingers that feed out, okay? And they're going to find the center of that hole. And then they're going to bore, and they're going to use this as their XY coordinates, okay? So they're going to bore off of this as it feeds out. What we do differently is we take this blueprint that we've got, we find right here that everything is based off, that's your 0, 0, right here and here, okay? So the center of that dowel pin hole tells us that's absolute 0, okay? So we come in and we probe off this. We come down here and we probe off this to make sure we're square, okay, in the machine. And then what we do is we probe the center of the hole. After we probe the center of the hole, we can tell how much core shift there is off the block because of what the manufacturer had intended for the location of the cylinder hole to be. If you start going to each hole, okay, and you put a boring bar down it, and then you use that as your reference point, what happens is you've got now 8 different datums, okay? So there's not an absolute 0. Each hole is centered off itself. Well, what we need to do is we need to make sure that the hole is centered off the crankshaft itself, okay? So that may not, for instance, if we plug these numbers in and we probe these numbers, these are actual probe numbers. These are our blueprint numbers. This is the difference of our numbers, okay? So these are the numbers off this screen up here. That's our blueprint. This is our probed, and this is actually what we got, and this is what the difference of the two are. Now, the one I'm most concerned about is the y-axis, okay? It's basically what runs up and down like this. Side to side doesn't bother me too much because there's a lot of clearance. There's a lot of difference. You got rod clearance or 16,000 7-inch rod, wrist pin. There's a lot of things that can move. But if I can make the y-axis in the center of the hole so that the connecting rod, when it comes to top dead center, it's as close to center, perfectly center of that hole as it can, I have a greater mechanical advantage over the crankshaft, so that my crank angle should be at a better angle to produce power, okay? and it makes the engine perform better. Okay. Now this block's not one that we found that's really a long ways out, but some of them you'd be surprised how bad off they are. This is the y-axis difference. Okay. So as you can see, and I've already checked from the center to center, the center of this hole to the center of this hole, to make sure that we're square in the machine, and we are. You can see that down here we have at the number 4 hole, you're 7/1000ths out, which, like I said, is not much enough to worry about. But what we can do when we blueprint bore is we're going to change the center of that hole 7/1000ths and move it so that where it should be on our blueprint numbers, we're going to bore this number instead of boring the probe number. Okay. Now our probed, let me change that, our probe number here. Now that would be what we'd be doing if we were putting in a boring bar. Now the reason why guys don't do that is because it takes a tremendous amount of time, especially if you don't have a way to probe it that quick. If you've got a Renshaw probe where you can run down and you can probe off the center of this hole and have a single datum off that hole and have everything zeroed off that, when you do it with a Renshaw probe, I can do this program and run the whole cycle. As far as my probing, I can do it in 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, 15 minutes max. Probably not even that much. But anyways, I can do that, and then I can center everything. And that's what we mean when we say block accurizing. So when we actually accurize a block or true up a block, this is what we're doing. We're changing the center line so that the center line of the hole of the cylinder bore is directly in center of the crankshaft. So these are some processes that we do different here, and something that you might want to consider. This is what you're getting when you purchase an engine from us or when you have any engine machining work done. Thanks for watching.